Hey guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man 2 Marvel Legends Infinite Series. The Amazing Spider-Man. And this is either, you know, a throwback to like the McFarlane or the Begley era or whatever of or Ditka, I don't know. I'm just throwing out comic book artist names that I know. And honestly, one or two of them may even be writers. I don't know. Anyway, so here we're going to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man figure, and it is an amazing figure. You might be able to tell by the fact that I bought 3 of them inexplicably. So, first let's get on to the differences between what I will call Wave 1 and Wave 1.1. 1.1 being the refresh of the initial wave. And this might not go for everybody, but this is something that I have noticed between the comic shop figure, which was sternly part of the first wave, and the Amazon figure that I bought, which is definitely part of the refresh wave that Amazon restocked. Anyway, so let's take a look at both of these figures. These figures' molding and paint job is identical with the exception of the eye paint, the pearl white eye paint. So we can see, let's see if we can kind of focus in on this atoll. We might not. Okay, so here we see the very white eyes of the first Spider-Man, and let's see if you can see that there's a small difference in this one. It's going to be real tough to catch on camera, but if you can see, there's a very, very slight difference. The one on the right is definitely whiter. The one on the left is a little bit pinker. Don't really know what that's about. Not a huge deal though, in terms of what you're buying. It's exactly the same figure. And the paint job is pretty awesome. As you can see, I've got my first Spider-Man that I got at the comic shop, posed in an awesome manner. This is because I have an action figure base, and I've also reused some twisty ties that used to hold action figures, and using them as kind of web fluid. I really wish that it came with a blasting web fluid rather than the sticky accessories that you see it coming with, which, you know, I shouldn't say it's stinky because it really comes with the build-in action figure, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So I'm going to put this away, as much as I like this kind of pose, but this kind of shows you what you're able to do with the Spider-Man figure. So let's put that away and talk about the action figure itself. Now, it comes with several accessories. It comes with 2 replaceable arms that are hands that are really easy to replace. It's simply a matter of popping in and out, and you know what, yeah, we'll pop one of them out just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Bam, it's just that easy. It also comes with a Green Goblin arm, there we go, and a Green Goblin flamey power. Quite honestly, I wish that this figure, rather than coming with flamey power, came with webs, like little thwippy webs, and, you know, a web that he can hold on to that's kind of stylized and looks like he's about to do something. But you know what, whatever. What this flamey thing does allow you to do, though, is turn Spider-Man into the Spirit of Vengeance. That's right. Great. Okay, so let's take a look at the packaging, alright? So this is, without a doubt, one of the better action figure packaging on the market at the moment for a single carded figure. It says over here, Build-A-Figure, Green Goblin. And then it's part of the Legends Infinite series, to differentiate it from the Legends series, which was sort of underwhelming by Hasbro. Anyway, they really stepped up their game with this figure, and you know, when you look at it, it does potentially look like a $20 figure, even though in New York City you'd see these Spider-Man going anywhere from $22.99 to $29.99, depending on where you're going. I can assure you, you'd probably almost never, well, I can assure you that within Manhattan anyway, you're not going to find this figure for $19.99. Okay, they're definitely going to add a premium to that because rent is pretty expensive here, and you know, whatever they can do, whatever. $2 isn't that much for this awesome action figure, or you know, $2 to $5. I'm not sure if I would pay a premium, $10 premium on this. So let's take a look at the back. The Amazing Spider-Man. No matter what evil rises, the Amazing Spider-Man will summon the courage to defeat it. For with great power comes great responsibility. And so one thing that I do want to point out actually is with the action figure shown on the back, there's actually a raised webbing, as is tradition with some of the Spider-Man movies. However, the actual action figure that you will be getting has recessed webbing. That means it's kind of carved into the figure. The paint job is still awesome. The figure looks awesome. That is not a reason not to buy this, but there is a difference between what the picture at the back and what the figure you'll be getting offers. So there's that. I don't prefer any one over the other. If I were to get the chance to get both, I probably would. It's really not a big deal, but it's a small stylistic difference that may matter to a small group of you guys. Okay, so let's take a look at this. At the back, we also see the variant waves, which includes I think Toxin, Spider-Woman, and Boomerang. The initial first wave comes with Carnage, Electro, Spidey, Black Cat, Beetle, and the Superior Spider-Man. Right. So far, we've heard that the variant wave is actually starting to ship unlike other ones, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. And here's a action figure that you can buy, that you can get when you buy all the action figures. This is the Spawn of the Symbiotes. No Venom yet, but you know, hopefully Venom would be real awesome. Marvel's Electro from the movie, the Amazing Spider-Man from the movie, even though it's not 100% movie accurate and whatever. Skyline Sirens, Deadliest Foes, and then of course Doc Ock, the Superior Spider-Man. So we can see on the side here we've got Swingy Web Spider-Man, and on the other side we've got the same thing except kind of swapped. Some kind of like, you know, warning, it says here, choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years. And at the same time, it also says ages 4+. So, you know, if you're in between that stage, don't get the figure. So let's take a look at this just a little bit. Now, I'm going to quickly run over some of the posability that we have here, because I just want to really talk about the action figure first. So, first and foremost in my reviews. So there is side-to-side swivel on the ankle, including back to front. So that gives a good range of motion. We've also got double knee joints along with boot swivels. We've got upper thigh and well, two, you know, a swiveling upper thigh and a ball jointed upper thigh. We've got a waist joint. We've got a crunch joint. We've got oh, by the way, I'm not going to bring the other Spider-Man out, but I find that Wave 1.1, the later wave, has a clicky crunch movement, whereas the initial wave, it didn't make the click sound, but it did click in place, if that makes any sense. Interesting that this, unique, I should say, to this figure, probably the first of its kind on American shores, is the double shoulder joint. Which allows it a much greater range of Spidey movement. To tell you the truth, it actually worked a little bit better on Wave 1. See, the problem is with the other figure, I've gotten it in such an awesome pose that I don't really want to do it. Anyway, so yeah. So it allows the spider joints to move back, kind of, so he looks like he's like, no, Uncle Ben, or kind of like, you know, kind of moving forward. This is a very critical joint that Spider-Man on American shores has never had before. So that is real cool. It definitely gives them a large range of movement. We've also got the ball joint, well, side to side, and whatever. Upper arm, we've got double elbow joints, wrist articulation, which means it moves side to side and kind of like that. Same thing on the other side, of course, and we've got a ball jointed head, which is pretty awesome because he can look straight up or he can look down. So that's pretty cool. That is an awesome articulation. In terms of paint job, with the exception of the slightly pinker eyes, which is a little more pearl than white between Wave 1 and Wave 1.1, we've also got some amazing paint job over here. All of this is molded plastic with a black wash. There's not too much in terms of paint app, so if you're a little child playing with this and it scrapes along the floor for a bit, the only thing you will reveal is the similarly painted plastic underneath. As far as I understand it, the only painted bits on this action figure is this black spider and his eyes, along with the red spider at the back. And this is undoubtedly the movie Spider-Man kind of Spidey design. So yeah, that's a large range of movement there. Oops, there is some really fine detail here. Let's see if we can yeah. So there is some texturing on the blue bits. So it does look really nice. The only drawback I would say to this figure, and I'm spoiled by some of the premium figures coming out in Japan, is actually kind of an overall issue with most American toys, I would say, is that there is this kind of obvious plastic shine to the figure, and it would have been really nice had they managed to coat this in a matte paint. That is a matte red, a matte blue. That way when you're looking at it, it sort of looks more like a costume rather than clearly molded plastic. Definitely not an indictment of the toy whatsoever. You should get this. That it shouldn't prohibit you from getting this because quite honestly, I would say on American shores, from an American company, this is probably the best Spider-Man action figure that has ever come out. Which also explains why I bought 3 of them. One of them to pose, one of them kind of to play around with on the desk, and then the third one just to keep in case one of the other 2 breaks. So yeah, so we've got that. In terms of posability, it's wide range. It has a huge range. The drawback for this figure is it doesn't come with an action figure stand, which means that some of the greatest Spider-Man poses, which require some kind of support, you would not really be able to pull off. However, unlike some other action figures, because of the amount of posability that this guy has, you do have a wide range of options. So, usually, nowadays, if you have a really nice looking action figure, there are a lot of molding that prohibits you from creating different poses that you want. Just because of the way things are posed. For example, Batman's cape would prohibit you from doing certain poses just because it's typically molded out of rubber nowadays, so you wouldn't be able to have him in any kind of squatting pose or anything. But not this guy. Because this guy doesn't have a cape, he can pretty much do anything, and anything he does. You can see that in any other action figure, you wouldn't be able to do this pose, let alone having it stand. And this is really an attribute of the ankle joints that pivot in just basically any direction. And then the weight distribution in this thing, fairly accurate. Well, that is to say that it's not leaning in any one direction. It's not going to be, oh, most of the weight is in the body, none of the weight in the legs, so it makes it difficult to pose because it will be top heavy. On the other hand, if it was too leg heavy, you might not be able to do certain poses. But yeah, you can see this is an ultra dynamic pose that you can do, and it took me no time to achieve it. So that is pretty awesome. I mean, this is a pose that you'd see him doing on in a comic book. And again, the paint details, some of it is imperfect. This Spider-Man on back, a little bit fat. I feel like it should have been looking a little bit thinner. But you know what? Honestly, whatever. I'll deal with it. These are minor flaws when it comes to this awesome looking action figure. So, bringing this guy out again. yeah, so, you know, there you have it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 from the Legends Infinite series. If you haven't gotten it already, and you've been ignoring everybody on the boards who says this is a great action figure, you should definitely go out and get it. I would say out of any action figure that you could pay a premium on, you know, if you're really impatient, I would say that I would value this figure just about $25. But because it is Spider-Man, we also know that chances are Hasbro would overproduce this figure. So realistically, if you can wait, if you don't really need a new action figure, if you're on a budget or you've been spending too much on action figures, you know, I could probably wait until the figure's around, I would say maybe $17, and you could pull the trigger, or a risky $15. You might be able to hold out until then. But yeah, no, this is an amazing figure that is retails normally at $20. So $20, that's the average price that you're ever going to find these in stores. Online, of course, it's going to be a bit of a different story. So yes, there we go. Pick out this figure and check out my other videos.